The ticket lady looked at me like I'd walked into her kitchen uninvited. "You lost, son." Quote, "No ma'am, just looking." Quote, "Good spot for it," she said, and she waved me through. Didn't take my money. I'm Australian. This is my first Friday night in a town of 3,000 people, and I just walked into a stadium that holds 8,000. The math doesn't work, unless you understand that Friday night here isn't a game. It's a homecoming, every single week. So here's the scene. Remember last episode? The porches were empty. Every single one. Main Street looked like a movie set after the crew went home, and I could see these lights, these massive white lights, glowing over the tree line like a spaceship had landed in a cow pasture. I followed them. Drove past the high school, which, by the way, looks like every American high school I've ever seen on a screen, which is disorienting in itself, and around the back, and there it was. A concrete cathedral, bleachers stacked 3 high, a press box, a concession stand with a line longer than the town's population, and a field so green it looked like it had been painted that morning. In Australia, we have football, but it's a different shape. And in a town of 3,000, the game is played on a dirt oval with maybe 50 people watching, half of them dogs. The idea that a town this size could fill a stadium 3 times over and do it every week, I didn't believe it until I saw the parking lot. And in my first hour inside that stadium, 3 things hit me hard, just like on Main Street, but louder, much louder. The first thing? The math. 3,000 people live in this town. The stadium holds 8,000, and it was full. Not almost full. Full. Standing room only along the back fence. People sitting on coolers they brought from home. Kids asleep on their dads' shoulders. And I kept looking around thinking, where did they all come from? Then I started noticing the license plates. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, 2 states away. And I realized, these aren't all locals. These are people who left. People who moved to Houston, or Dallas, or Atlanta for work, but they come back every Friday. They drive 3-4 hours to sit in bleachers they sat in when they were 16. In Australia, if you leave a town of 3,000, you don't come back for the footy. You come back for Christmas, maybe. If someone dies, but not for a game, because in Australia the game belongs to the town that's there now. Here, the game belongs to everyone who was ever here. I was standing there trying to do the math in my head, when a man in a faded Letterman jacket tapped my shoulder. He must have been 60. The jacket was burgundy and gold, same as half the crowd. He didn't say hello. He just pointed at the field and said, "Letterman jacket man. My boy's out there. Number 42. 3rd generation. My dad played. I played. Now him." And he turned back to the field. Didn't wait for a response. Didn't need one. He wasn't telling me a story. He was stating a fact, like the weather. That was the first thing. I wasn't at a football game. I was at a family reunion where the family was 8,000 people strong, and the guest of honor was a patch of grass. The second thing, the band. Now, Australia has school bands. We do, but they're in the auditorium. They play at assembly. They do a concert once a year, and the parents clap politely and everyone goes home. They are not, and I cannot stress this enough, they are not a military operation. This band had 200 kids. 200. They marched onto that field in perfect lines, turned in perfect unison, and played a song so loud the bleachers shook. And the crowd didn't treat it like halftime. They treated it like the main event. I watched a woman in front of me, maybe 70, white hair, Booster Club jacket, stand up when the drumline started. She didn't cheer, she just stood, like you stand in church. And when the band finished their first song, she sat back down, wiped her eyes, and said to no one in particular, "Booster Club woman. My granddaughter's the 3rd clarinet. Can you believe that? 3rd. She said it like 3rd clarinet was the presidency. And in this stadium, it was. In Australia, the footballer is the hero. The band is background noise. Here, the band is the heartbeat. The drumline is the pulse. And every kid in that formation, whether their first trumpet or last tuba, is carrying the town's pride on their shoulders. Literally, their uniforms weigh more than my luggage. That was the second thing. The game hadn't even started yet, and I'd already seen something Australia doesn't have, a town where the arts and the athletes share the same religion. I'm an Australian in the American South, noticing America so you can see it too. If you played in a stadium like this, or if you sat in these bleachers every Friday for 30 years, tell me if I'm getting this right. Hit subscribe. New videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And stick around, because the third thing, it happens before the game even starts. And it stopped me cold. The third thing, it happens in the silence. About 10 minutes before kickoff, the announcer came on, not to introduce the teams, Not to sell the Booster Club raffle. He came on to ask 8,000 people to be quiet, and they were, instantly, like someone had turned off a switch. Then a man walked to the center of the field, not a coach, not a player, just a man in a suit, holding a microphone, and he started talking to God. Now, I need to be careful here. In Australia, we keep religion private, very private. We don't pray in schools. We don't pray at sporting events. The idea that a public school stadium would stop a football game so a man could ask God to protect the players, it would start a national debate at home. Here, it started silence. 8,000 people worth of silence. And here's what I noticed. It wasn't performative. No one was checking if anyone else was praying. No one was filming it for social media. The cheerleaders weren't posing. The band wasn't playing softly in the background. It was just 8,000 people, breathing together, asking for the same thing: safety, courage, community. I didn't pray. I'm not religious, but I stood there, and I felt something I didn't have a name for. It wasn't religion. It was weight, the weight of a town saying, we are here, we are together, and we are asking for something bigger than a score. Quote, in Australia, we start games with a whistle. Here, you start them with a breath. And I don't think I understood that until I watched 8,000 people take it at the same time. So the game started, and I won't pretend I understood every play. I don't know a down from a touchdown, but I understood the stands. And in the third quarter, I saw him, the old fella from Main Street, the one who waves at every car from his porch. He was 3 rows down, wearing the same colors as everyone else, clapping his weathered hands together every time the home team got a first down. He wasn't there for the score. He was there for the same reason he sits on his porch, to say, I'm still here. I still see you. I still belong. Quote, and I realized why the porches were empty. They weren't empty because people didn't care about their streets. They were empty because the street had moved. For 3 hours, the street was right here. The porch was right here. The whole town, every generation, every memory, every prayer, was right here. On 50 yards of grass. In Australia, we go to the pub to feel community. We go to the beach. We go to the backyard barbecue. Here, you go to the football field. And you don't go alone. You bring your grandfather's Letterman jacket. You bring your daughter's clarinet. You bring the prayer your mother taught you. And you sit in the same seat your father sat in, and his father before him. I don't know if I'll ever have a seat here. I don't know if I'll ever understand why the band gets a standing ovation or why the prayer happens before the whistle. But I know this. I walked into a stadium as a stranger, and I sat down in a church, and nobody asked me to leave. I'm an Australian in the American South, noticing America so you can see it too. If you sat in these bleachers, or if you missed them, tell me if I got this right. Drop a comment below. And here's the thing. The next morning, I drove past the VFW hall. The lights were on, and I realized the game wasn't over when the whistle blew. For some people, it never ends. That's next. G-Day, America.